So President Thabo Mbeki blames ghosts for ANC corruption and ANC destruction. In this Youth Day video, I'm going to show you what's going on there. But if you stay with me all the way till my biblical reaction, you are going to have a video that you want to share with every young South African you know, and tell them to share it with every young South African that they know, because we are set that South Africa will prosper. You ready? Okay, press like and let's go. So, just recently, former President Thabo Mbeki was in Parliament. They were celebrating 30 years of the Constitution, and he asked them,
when we came into government in 1994, the South African economy was going down. By 2007, 2008, the economy was going this way. During this period, something like 6 million new jobs are created during this time. Then from around 2009, 2010, the economy goes in the opposite direction. Just like that. It goes like this. And for the first 15 years, let us say, you have 6 million new jobs created. For the next 15 years, you got 1 million new jobs created. We're going like this, and suddenly, boom, up to today, we reach a growth rate of 6% around 2007 and so on. And since 2009, 2010, they've hardly reached 1%. What changed?
under Mandela's presidency, Thabo Mbeki's presidency, they were basically adding 500,000 new jobs every year for 15 years. That adds up to about 6 million jobs. When President Zuma took over, that number went down to half. He promised 500,000 every year. He only managed an average of about 250,000. Then he was followed by Ramaphosa, who went even below half, has not produced even 100,000 jobs per year. If you want to see this with your own eyes on graphs, you can watch this video here. So he asks, what caused that? And why do we go up and then go down? And so they come, the clever people, the professors. They blame everything, the credit crunch. They blame business. They blame this. They blame that. So I will give it to Thabo Mbeki. He comes back and he says, stop making silly excuses.
You have South Africa growing like this and this and that nicely, and suddenly it goes the other way around. Professor Makoba, you should look at this thing, study it. There are articles that have been published with documentation. The 2008 financial crisis, as Professor Madlingos is saying, had very slight impact here. Because of what had happened, I was mentioning, for instance, that for the first time since 2010, we had budget surpluses. The fact that you have budget surpluses is when the economy grows down, it cushions you because you got some cash. The articles have been written, analytical articles about that, not guesswork, not me talking. In fact, it's Afrikaner professors. So the 2008 financial crisis impacted on us, but not to the extent that for 15 years we stayed down at the bottom. All the peer countries of South Africa were impacted upon negatively by the 2008 crisis. By 2010, they recovered. Why didn't South Africa? Up to today.
Okay, thank you, President Thabo Mbeki. You've dealt with the silly excuses, clever sounding economic excuses like credit crunch and business and all of that stuff. And you say these professors are just making excuses and using smooth words. So, President Mbeki, why did the country go up and then go down for 15 years? And remember, that whole 30-year period is under the ANC.
We have a crisis in the country, which means we've got to try and study this thing and understand it. objectively, as precisely as possible. What's wrong? What's gone wrong? Because if we can't get that answer right, we can't get the diagnosis right, we won't get the answer right. So, during the 1940s, an organization formed, in fact it was formed in 1939, the Ossewabrandwag. The Ossewabrandwag, what is distinctive about it is that it was a neo-Nazi organization. Its symbols were copied directly from the German Nazis, everything. That's a neo-Nazi organization. The Nazis, the German Nazis, like the South African Nazis, they had a very strong policy position. And that policy position was that their strategic enemy is the communists. So even if you have an election and you defeat them in elections, that's not enough. You must destroy them. They must cease to exist. The Ossewabrandwag adopted that position from the Nazis in Germany. It was the communists, which you saw the way that the Second World War was fought. 3/4 of the German army was on the Eastern Front for the Soviet Union, because that was their principal strategic enemy. And anybody else associated with the communists must also be killed. If you look at German history, it will tell you that story. The Ossewabrandwag here takes that same position. You remember they opposed the Smuts government and supported the Germans and all that. But in the end, the Ossewabrandwag got absorbed into the National Party. John Foster, Ossewabrandwag. Peter Lubota, Ossewabrandwag. Nico Dietrichs, Ossewabrandwag. C.R. Swart, Ossewabrandwag. They come into the National Party with that understanding. That is why you have the Suppression of Communism Act in 1950. It was an expression of a firm ideological position. This thing must be killed. Plus the ones associated with it must be killed. So the ANC is a strategic enemy of the National Party already in 1950. But they start with the Communist Party. Comes 1994, change takes place. The same group, which originally originated from the Ossewabrandwag, said, the ANC has been our strategic enemy and we've tried to destroy it. It's now won the elections, but it has not changed. It remains our enemy. So our offensive against the ANC doesn't stop because they are government. What then happened was a counter-revolutionary group was formed formally from the old National Party, particularly from Defense Intelligence. And their task was to make sure that they defeat the ANC. SARS at the beginning was outperforming itself. They would say, we're going to collect $1 billion, and when they announced, it's $1.5 billion. No. And suddenly it changed around 2014 and went the opposite direction. That's why SARS, that Judicial Commission was appointed. Because how do you explain this? This SARS, which performs so well, and all of a sudden it performs in the opposite direction. You kill SARS, you kill the democracy. They didn't steal a single cent. During this 2014, 2015, 2016, those years, they didn't steal 1 cent. They were killing the organization. So that this government does not have the revenues to function. We were together with Judge Nugent the other day, and these lawyers were saying, President, what we were trying to say in that report, that was treason. And it was. It was treason.
Wow. So the Nazis are responsible for the downturn around the time that Zuma took over the ANC. And these Nazis, the Ossewabrandwag, worked to infiltrate the ANC, he then says, and they infiltrated ANC conferences. And he says it's the Ossewabrandwag and the National Party through intelligence. And we all know Zuma is the intelligence guy. So basically, because everything started going down from when Zuma was ANC president and took over as ANC president, one of three options are true. Thabo Mbeki is a Nazi, Mandela is a Nazi, and so the Nazis allowed them to be president over the upward turn. Or Zuma is a Nazi agent, and therefore he worked to then take us down. And Ramaphosa is also a Nazi agent because he's carried on going down. Or the Nazis took 15 years to work and finally succeed, and neither Zuma nor Mbeki is a Nazi. This is what we call, children, blaming ghosts. Okay. So the Nazis attended every ANC branch meeting. The Nazis influenced who gets chosen to end up being ANC leadership. The Nazis influenced every NEC meeting. The Nazis told people at local government to hire their uncles and cousins instead of qualified people. The Nazis told every ANC leader to get into a structure so they can get tenders at local government. We're 2007, right? The Nazis made Julius Malema get a roads tender through Randanang Trust. The Nazis made President Ramaphosa put money in his couch. The Nazis are so powerful. Well, let's go back to some of the things that happened around the time that the economy stopped growing and jobs stopped being created, and South Africa, which was creating a surplus, started going into debt. Do you remember what was happening around 2007? Well, the ANC Youth League leader was fighting behind the scenes, saying, I will kill for Zuma, and here he was explaining that he didn't really mean kill, but he meant I will stand for Zuma to take over as president.
And I can tell you again, I will never say to any gathering people must be killed or use a word kill, because people can use kill to destroy and distort the case of the movement. Maybe I must be a bit diplomatic and say I'm prepared to pay the highest price on earth in defense of Zuma. And I said that for sure I was not going to be in front pages. So I will say that in future so that I avoid a situation where people deliberately decide to distort it. But the highest price we're prepared to pay, TG, for Comrade JZ. So because I'm responding to it, somebody said to me, will you repeat the kill? After this exercise, I will never repeat it. I will never repeat it. I will find a creative way of saying, I will do everything in my power to defend Zuma.
So the Nazis told Julius Malema to say he will do everything in his power to defend Zuma. And by the way, where's this gentleman here, Pule Mabe? We haven't seen him in the news lately talking for the ANC.
Mabe and 8 others stand accused of fraud and money laundering. This is in relation to a flagged tender of 27 million rand awarded in 2017. Mabe and some of his co-accused will hear the outcomes of their representations on the 28th of May, while the other accused will appear back in court on September 1st for a pre-trial conference.
Oh man, these Nazis, they made Pule Mabe now have to be in court about fraud, corruption, and money laundering. Anyway, let's get back to Julius Malema. Well, this is Julius Malema after he's left the ANC, and the man whom he said he will defend, he will kill for him, he was saying this now.
We don't give up. We don't give up in the cause you believe in. The defeat of Zuma is a defeat of corruption. And once you give up on Zuma, you've given up on corruption. And once you give up on corruption, then you're going to be part of it.
Well, yesterday was Youth Day, and that's why I'm in my Youth Day outfit. And Julius Malema right now was giving a speech to the young people, and he gets to explain why the young people he's talking to are unemployed.
That big statue under the EFF of Louis Botha, it is going to be demolished, and Nelson Mandela's statue will remain standing, because we can only associate with Nelson Mandela and not a murderer called Louis Botha. Comrades, no one is going to come from anywhere and give us freedom. The freedom is in our hands. The youth of South Africa is unemployed. More than 50% of the youth are unemployed. Many of those have given up looking for jobs.
Okay, so the problem is Louis Botha. That's why the youth are unemployed 30 years after the ANC has been in power, 15 years after he would be killing for Zuma, and that's when youth stopped getting jobs. But we know the problem is Louis Botha, the Nazi. So now here's the thing. Thabo Mbeki says the ANC started going down because the Nazi infiltrated their conferences. Since everything went down from about 2007, when Julius Malema was supporting Zuma, it means either the Nazis infiltrated through Julius Malema and Jacob Zuma, and he says they infiltrated in the 2002 conference and finally succeeded in the Polokwane conference. So definitely he's saying the ANC failed the last 15 years because Zuma is a Nazi plant. But the Nazi plant was supported by Julius Malema to succeed for the Nazi plant to be president. Then later, Julius Malema says, no, this guy is corrupt and he's causing the country to go downhill. We must get rid of him. And now he stays another 9 years. The guy after him is just like the guy before him. And then Julius Malema now is there saying, you young people, you don't work. It's because of the statue of Louis Botha. So now I don't know. Who's the Nazi? Tell me below. Is Thabo Mbeki the Nazi plant? Or is Julius Malema the Nazi plant? Or is President JZ the Nazi plant? According to Mbeki, there is a Nazi plant responsible for the ANC going down. And Youth Day, President Zuma was also speaking to young people. Maybe he's going to explain who is the Nazi plant that's responsible for the last 15 years being worse than the 15 years before. What's stopping us from taking our ancestors' land? You know, in our country since 1994, we were given nothing. All the money is with white people. None of us have money. We are poor. White people are carrying it in sacks. Let's take it. Let's not beg nobody. Take our ancestors' land. Because we are a majority. Some of you don't go vote. Oh, I knew it would be going there. So he's blaming white people, the same Nazis. So let me understand now. Of course, Thabo Mbeki is speaking to protect his presidency, and he's playing politics by separating the ANC from Jacob Zuma. And the ANC has a very age-old, boring story. Whoever they're trying to badmouth, they just say they are an apartheid plant or spy. So I can understand that. People have to do politics. So the best way to demonize Zuma is by saying that Zuma is a plant of white people, Nazis to be more precise. But now you have Julius Malema, who is part of the 15-year downhill. He's blaming Louis Botha, white people. Now the Nazi plant of Jacob Zuma is blaming white people for why his listeners are poor. Are you starting to see something here? And of course, I understand it's politics. But my concern, I'm going to give you after my biblical reaction. Now, there is in Jerusalem by the sheep gate a pool which is called Bethesda. By the pool lay a great multitude of sick people, blind, lame, paralyzed, waiting for the moving of the water. For an angel went down at a certain time into the pool and stirred up the water. Then whoever stepped in first after the stirring of the water was made well of whatever disease he had. Now a certain man was there who was sick for 38 years. 38 years. We are talking about 30 years of the Constitution. This man adds another 8 years on top. When Jesus saw him lying there and knew that he had already been in that condition a long time, Jesus asked him, "Do you want to be made well? Do you want to be a first world country? Do you want that when you watch movies and they're walking down a beautiful street with clean buildings, clean street, do you want to have that look like your town? When you are looking at cars made in China, made in South Korea, made in Japan, made in Germany, do you want to have made in South Africa? When most countries in the world are on 5% unemployment average, we are on 30+% unemployment average. Do you want 3% unemployment? Do you want a country that has only 1% living in a shack? Do you want a first world country or not? Do you want a country that compares to every great country out there? Do you want a turnaround like China had, South Korea had, Japan had? Do you want it? Do you want your country to be as prosperous as Singapore or Liechtenberg? Do you want it? What does the man say? The simple answer should be, yes, that's what I want. The sick man answered, instead of yes, I do want it, he answered, sir, I have no man to put me into the pool when the water is stirred up. But while I'm coming, another steps down before me. This is the problem with this Nazi nonsense, especially on Youth Day. Young people, realize this. These are your oppressors. On Youth Day, when they should be telling you how they are making the jobs easier because they believe you can design the next car, they are telling you that Nazis are holding you back. When they should be telling you how they believe you will build the next Facebook, they are telling you that white people are your problem. Instead of telling you what they did wrong, instead of explaining to you that for 30 years they have had 30 state of the nation addresses. They have had 30 medium-term budgets. They have had 30 review meetings. They have had opportunity after opportunity. Thabo Mbeki pretends that what Zuma did was not inside of policy signed by Thabo Mbeki. Thabo Mbeki pretends that when he presiding over cadre deployment, he's pretending that opposition parties, he's pretending that open letters, he's pretending that many people were not telling him that, listen, cadre deployment is a bad idea because we know human nature. There is no way that you will have cadre deployment without state capture. He is pretending that at every single debate in parliament, he was not warned that the policies he was passing all the way up to 2008, he was not told that everything that happened from 2008 onwards would happen. He is pretending that his party, when they were pushing all sorts of policies, BEE, like they were not told it would destroy the economy after making it a crooked, criminal economy. He's pretending that professors didn't tell him, that opposition parties didn't tell him, that history didn't tell him. He's pretending that he doesn't know this, and now he has to blame a Nazi. What I hate about it is he's telling the young black child, listen, young black child, I don't care how much vision you have, I don't care how much talent you have, the Nazis are more powerful than you, so you are going nowhere because the Nazis are all powerful. Julius is telling them, instead of sitting there and telling them you are young, have a vision, have a dream, go for it, we're gonna make sure the laws are business friendly, entrepreneur friendly, because we know you will build the next. No, he's telling them, I will give you an education because only I can fight the white people. Listen, young people, those people are your oppressor. You guys need to rise up. Never listen to a comrade again. Make a noise. Walk away. Anytime they talk about white people, they are cursing you. White people make 7% of the population in this country. And no, they don't own 70% of the land. And they are citizens in the country equally oppressed by comrades. Listen, young people, comrades are now your oppressor. And unless you wake up and rise up and say, I will never again listen to someone that's talking about white people from 30 years ago. You were not born. What you have is you have talents. You have visions. You know you want to do great things. But as long as you listen to these people who never take responsibility for their own actions, you will never get to take responsibility for your life. These are your oppressor. And just like the youth of 1976 rose up against the oppressor, listen to me, young people, you need to unite and rise against comrades. They are your oppressors, and throw them out democratically. Vote out every comrade that is responsible for you not having a job, for you not having a future, for you not having a vision. And this oppressor is worse because they bring you, they tell you about a ghost. Listen, those ghosts were buried long time ago. It's the people who've been in power the last 30 years whom you blame for being in a shack, whom you blame for not having a job. Stop listening to comrades. Join hands. Let's rise up in a revolution. Throw out these oppressors, and the true freedom will be when you no longer hear someone telling you that Louis Botha is your problem. No, the person who is telling you about Louis Botha, keep following him. You will be poor forever. but rise up and say, I am somebody. No Louis Botha is bigger than me. No Nazis are bigger than me. Apartheid was before my time. And join hands with other young people, and you need to do whatever you need to do. First of all, if there's a comrade shirt in your house, start using it to clean. These comrades are the problem, and then they come back and pretend to be the solution. If you haven't learned that if someone fails to do something in 30 years, they'll never do it, then I don't know what to tell you. You have a future. You tell your other young people to stop listening to this garbage. White people are not your problem. Comrades are your problem. And don't worry about white people. They are South Africans just like you. Join hands with every other citizen, and this revolution needs to happen because your future is in the balance. Unless the National Democratic Revolution of Prosperity succeeds with all young people joining hands and overthrowing comrades, you have no future. You will be standing at a ground listening to a guy who lives in a mansion telling you that white people are the problem. If white people are the problem, why didn't they stop him from living in a mansion with bodyguards and money overseas? Young people, listen to me. You have potential. You have a future. You can live in the type of country you desire, a country you can be proud of wherever you go. And listen, these people are your problem, not the Nazis, not the ghosts, not Louis Botha, not apartheid. That all happened before you were born. Your problem are the comrades. And unless you rise up in revolution and realize who your oppressor is, you're going to be listening to your oppressor telling you about white people until you grow old and die poor, never accomplished anything worth anything. And until you get rid of comrades, you can wave your future goodbye. And download my book for free. Read it. Think about it. I'll be wearing a suit on the next video. I'll be nicer. Today, I was in my youth day outfit. I'm too young to be nice, to be cute. Hopefully I get one young person to hear what I've just said. Let's make history together. Cheers.